You know, my inner rage really did fuel a lot of things about this video. Anyway, hi. So it's award season, as we know. We had the Mamas a little while ago. We had the Melon Music Awards, like, I think 2 weeks ago as of me filming this. So, it's award season. And those who watched my Mama video, like the winner video, will know that I was very displeased with the winner of Album of the Year because I'm of the opinion that album sales are less important than the overall cultural impact of an album. But that brings us to today. Specifically, this moment where I have taken my time out of my day. I actually took these notes while on vacation, but I took time out of my day to compile my own list. I went back to 2015, the year I got into K-pop, and I made my own list of Album of the Year nominees because I do in fact know better than the Mamas. The Mamas have been right like twice in the past decade. Now, if you were wondering what criteria I used in making my list, I used the Mama and Melon Music Awards, like their Album of the Year nominees. We mainly use the Melon Music Awards. The Mamas have not been right often. So we used their nominees and also just my general experience. Like, I've been a K-pop fan this entire time. So it was my knowledge, I should say, my wisdom as an elder. Anyway, using that, I came up with a list of 5 or 6 nominees for each year. However, I will be throwing a bone. Whoever won Album of the Year at the Mamas or the Melon Music Awards, you get a nomination. Just hands down, you get a nomination. If you won, you get a nomination. However, I am doing one thing differently. Because I'm a despot and I can do what I want, I'm using calendar years. I don't understand why award shows have weird nomination periods when you really could just use a calendar year and have your award show in like February. But whatever. I'm using calendar year. So like Miracles in December by EXO, right? That came out in 2013. It would be up for the 2013 Album of the Year, even though it was released long after the nomination period. I did also have some exclusions, if you will. Exclusion number 1, I am keeping the rule that an artist cannot be nominated for more than one album. I didn't keep the rule that members are included, though. So, like, Taemin and SHINee can both be nominated for Album of the Year for the same year, okay? There's that. Exclusion number 2, single albums, or just general albums with under 5 songs, will be excluded. I feel like you need a bit more than that to be Album of the Year. Also, to keep it fun, for me, I included a Nepo nomination. These are the nominations where my nepotism is the main factor. Some of them will also be valid nominees. Like, I could say that SHINee's Odd is both a valid nominee and a Nepo nomination. However, there will be others where you'll hear me say the nominations and you're going to hear one of them and you're going to be like, sorry, what? Let me have nepotism. Alrighty, cool, let's get into things. First year we're covering is 2015. 2015 is a year where the Melon Music Awards and the Mamas both agreed and gave Album of the Year to EXO's Exodus album. Therefore, Exodus will be our first nominee. Other nominees for this year will include SHINee's Odd, greatest album ever made, SHINee's Odd. I will also be including the Reboot album by Wonder Girls, Colors by Miss A, and the iMini album by Taeyeon. And we're gonna start, I don't want to say conforming, but I will be agreeing with both award shows. The Exodus album was such a cultural experience. It came out right after I got into K-pop, and it was a moment. Call Me Baby was that girl in every way, and just in general, Exodus did get like pretty widespread acclaim. That said, I do need it known, I had to contemplate how to handle the Made album. Because the Mamas, they just nominated Made in 2015. And I thought about doing that. And if I had, it would have won. Like, the Made album was such a cultural phenomenon, but it wasn't a singular album at the time. It was 4 single albums. So I decided not to do it, but I do want it known that had I decided to be like the Mamas and nominate Made in general, Made obviously would have won. Moving on, 2016. The Mamas would give the 2016 Album of the Year win to Exact by EXO. However, The Melon Music Awards actually gave it to Bangtan for their Young Forever album, so both of these will be nominated per Simon's Law. Our other nominees will be Twice's Twice Coaster Lane 1, Bangtan's Red Planet, Mamamoo's Melting, and Taemin's Press It. And the winner is, according to me, Mamamoo's Melting. I feel like 2016 was a year where we had a lot of really big cultural moments with singles. Like, you had Cheer Up, you had Rough, you had Russian Roulette. Like, we had these really big singles. We didn't really have really big albums, so I decided to shift gears. Mamamoo's Melting album is a phenomenal album that has multiple hit singles on it, so I decided to give it to that one. Also, just an honorable mention really to both the Show Me the Money 2016 album and the Descendants of the Sun OST album, both of which honestly could have won for cultural impact alone, but I decided not to include albums based off TV shows because that would make it way too complicated. Also, before we move on, I do need it known. The Melon Music Awards giving it to Young Forever actually screwed over the artist I probably would have given it to. Bangtan's Wings was a cultural moment. Like, the release of the Wings album was an experience to behold, and I would have nominated it. Dare I say even given it the win, except I couldn't, because Young Forever had to be nominated because it won per my law. And that just kind of annoyed me just a little bit, so I needed to take a moment and complain. Anyway, on to 2017. Mamas gave it to EXO for The War. The Melon Music Awards, however, gave it to Palette, so both will be nominated. Our other nominees will be Wanna One's debut album, 2B1, You Cloud's Rain by Haze, Red Diary, Page 1 by Babagan, and Epic High's We've Done Something Wonderful. And my winner is the same as the Melon Music Awards winner. I'm giving it to Palette by IU. Do you understand the cultural impact that album had? Insanity. Absolute insanity. That album was #1 for like months in terms of the singles. The singles, by the way, the downloads off that album, it's at like 20 million downloads at this point. It's one of the best selling albums in terms of downloads ever in K-pop. It's also just such a good album, and the singles had such a cultural impact. Like, it's album of the year material. My runner-up, if you were wondering, is actually Babagan with their Red Diary Page 1 album. A great album. The songs on that album did such numbers. It's like, I feel like in any other year with any other competition, it would have cleared. Unfortunately, it was up against Palette, and you're not going to win against Palette. Okay, 2018. We are back to a consensus with both shows giving Album of the Year to Love Yourself Tear by Bangtan. A win I can't accept, but I think we all know I can do better. So, my other nominees, would be Square Up by Blackpink, Poet Artist by Jonghyun, The Perfect Red Velvet by, in case you couldn't figure that out, Red Velvet, and Love Shot by EXO. And my winner is Blackpink's Square Up. Here's the thing. 2018 was another year where we had a lot of albums that had big singles, but it didn't necessarily have cultural impact. For what it's worth, Love Yourself Tear did have cultural impact. That was a cultural moment when Fake Love came out. But I feel like it was a bigger cultural moment when Duru Duru came out. And also, like, the just general vibes. Like, people were so hyped for the Square Up album. It was their first physical album. And people were so excited for it, so insanely excited for it, that I feel like you don't understand unless you were there how hyped up this album was. The culture was so excited, and I'm giving it Album of the Year. Hi, it is I, Editing Simon, jumping in to say, I realized that the Square Up album only has 4 songs on it, which means it is actually ineligible to win. Therefore, I will actually be giving it to Love Yourself Tear after all. Alrighty, 2019. 2019 Bangtan won again on both shows with Map of the Soul Persona, so that will be our leading nomination. She will, of course, be joined by Love Poem by IU, the Reva Festival Finale by Red Velvet, Sailing by Akmu, Spark by Taeyeon, and Astro's All Light album. Let me Nepo parent. Anyway, for the second and final time, I will be agreeing with the mamas. Map of the Soul Persona was such an experience to behold that, again, you wouldn't understand if you weren't actively there. And I don't just mean you were an army on Twitter. Like, you had to be in the trenches in the way I am every day. And it was a moment. It was an experience. I think Map of the Soul Persona is like one of the 2 albums that were like actual cultural juggernauts by Bangtan. The other one is Wings. I know I did just say Map of the Soul, Love Yourself Tear, sorry. Love Yourself Tear was a big cultural moment, and it was. It just wasn't on the same level. Like, Map of the Soul Persona and Wings were experiences to behold. Also, again, honorable mention to the Hotel del Luna OST. Insane run of singles. Insane run of hits on that thing. I'm not doing albums based off shows, but I do want it known it would have been a front runner, but I do think Map of the Soul Persona still barely clinches the win. Alrighty, new decade time, 2020. We are still very much on the Bangtan train. Both shows gave the win to Map of the Soul 7. A choice. It will be on our nominee list, though. It is to be joined by the following. Blackpink's The Album, NCT 127's Neozone, Tuxed with Minisode 1 Blue Hour, and Oh My Girl's Nonstop album. And with their second win, Blackpink gets Album of the Year with the album. The rollout of this thing was absolutely insane. If you were not on Twitter when this album came out, you will not understand just the level of discourse around this album. This album was discussed for months on it. Like, even after it came out, people were still talking about this album and the singles off of it in ways that very, very few albums have ever managed to experience. Like, it was the album of the year. Anyway, next, 2021. The Melon Music Awards gave it to IU's Lilac album, My Queen, My Girl. Excellent album. It will be on our nominee list. However, the Mamas is where it gets interesting. Mamas gave the win to Bangtan's B album. However, B came out in 2020. We've established my rule. You cannot win in a different year than your album was released. So, I have decided not to nominate B. B will not be on our nominee list because it can't win. So, Lilac is the only one continuing onto the nominee list. She will be joined by Don't Call Me by SHINee, NCT Dream's first studio album, Hot Sauce, Yellow by Kang Daniel, and Savage by aespa. And my winner is IU's Lilac. Listen, you're never really going to be able to culturally compete with an IU album, especially an IU studio album. You're just never going to be able to do it. And even in her singles, like, I could have argued with surprising ease that Album of the Year in 2020 should have gone to the 8 Digital single. Like, she's just on another level that few, if any, can actually compete with. That said, there was one album on this nominee list that actually had a fighting chance, which was the Savage mini album. Here's my thing. If SM had taken Next Level and put it on that album, it could have won. It could have won with the Next Level boost. However, for reasons that baffle me, that song is not on that album. I will never understand why. Whatever. 2022 time. The Mamas would give it to Proof by Bangtan. Sure. We move. The Melon Music Awards gave it to the Im Young album, so those two will be our first 2 nominees. Joining those, we will have the Candy EP by NCT Dream. We will have I Envy You by Taeyeon, 17's Face the Sun, New Jeans' debut album, New Jeans, and I Never Die by Giddle. And in the end, while I do hate that album, I am giving it to the New Jeans debut album. Like, the cultural impact of that thing, the singles on that thing, Hype Boy, Attention. Hype Boy is still in the top 40 on the weekly Melon charts. It came out like 2 years ago. If that's not a cultural juggernaut, I don't know what is. It's me again. I realized the New Jeans debut album also only has 4 songs. However, I'm actually gonna give it like a little reprieve. I'm going to leave it as my winner because unlike in 2018, I don't have a better option. Like, that album was so culturally impactful, I do feel like I kind of just have to leave it. Now for our previous year of 2023, the Melon Music Awards gave Album of the Year to Ive by Ive, in case you couldn't pick up on that. However, the Mamas continued sucking Hybe's dick. They gave it to 17's FML, because heaven forbid Hybe doesn't win Album of the Year. You know, I said that, and I looked at my own nominee list, I am a hypocrite, but at least I know it. Anyway, those nominees will be joined by the Get Up album by New Jeans, Golden by Jungkook, The Name Chapter Temptation by Tux, and I Feel by Gittle. And honestly, I think I have to give it to New Jeans again. Get Up was such a moment, such an experience to behold. This singles, Super Shy, New Jeans, the song, E.T., like, the hits on that thing were crazy. It was actually a great album. It, like, really, really popularized hyperpop and K-pop. I know it was popular before, but it shifted it in a way that, like, was really big. It was everything. And that brings us to our current year of 2024. Now, I know the year is not over, but I also am pretty confident that nothing's going to come out that's like a real cultural juggernaut of 2024. Like, I'm confident of that at this point. It's Christmas Day, so I don't know, maybe something that was released earlier will suddenly start doing numbers. I hope it's the BAP Christmas album. Great album. But I think the year's pretty solidly done at this point. So I'm comfortable in my predictions. Also, the Mamas would give Album of the Year to 17's Mini from last year. Just like B, she cannot win, so she will not be nominated. Melon, meanwhile, would give the win to aespa's Armageddon album, so she will be our first nominee, joined by Forever by Day 6, 2 by Gittle, a name that I hate, but we will survive, Guilty by Taemin, and Plave's Asterum 134-1. And, once again, I'm agreeing with the Melon Music Awards. aespa's Armageddon. A moment culturally for society. Supernova, insanity. Armageddon itself was also a pretty big hit, and even the B-sides on it are pretty, like, popular. So just in general, it's Album of the Year. The only other one, again, that I think could really compete is Forever by Day 6, and I feel like aespa just has, like, a bit more of an edge. But anyway, those are my Album of the Year winners, okay? Those are the ones that I think deserved the win. I could, in theory, go further back. It would just be a lot harder because I wasn't around. I wasn't on Twitter watching the culture react to things. But maybe I'll do best songs. Maybe I'll do my song of the year. That could be fun. I could do all the other day songs, honestly. If anything, I'm leading with artist of the year. I mean, artist of the year, I have so many thoughts on. Artist of the year. Time will tell. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year. This may be my final video of the year. I'm on vacation. I have 2 videos prepped for while I'm on vacation. So if the other one of me in this shirt already has come out, it's me ranking TV shows. If that's out, then this is my final video of the year, and I wish you a Happy New Year. If it's not out, you have one more video of the year, and then I will also be wishing you a Happy New Year. But yeah, thank you again for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to or don't. I'll be okay either way. In the comments, comment whatever you want. I will survive all of your wrath. And yeah, thank you again for watching. Bye!